Sorry. Hey everyone, and welcome to the first episode of How It Is, the show where I discuss different topics facing the younger generation, or just topics I feel like covering, because I don't want to hold myself to those types of limitations. Now, unlike the other 3 series I've tried to start on this channel, but never even got to making it past the first episode, this series is here to stay, and if you don't like it, then, my name is Miguel Castillo, and today, we're talking about Juuling. That transition made absolutely no sense. What the fuck? Now, this isn't gonna be a giant PSA talking about why Juuling is bad, because if it was, it'd probably be more like,
Hi, my name's Jim. A name so old that the boomers writing this commercial even thought that was a little bit of an inappropriate name for a teenager. Yet here we are. Now, you're probably asking yourself, why did Miguel just change his clothing and name? Anyway, I'm here to tell you all about Juuling. Now, a Juul kind of looks like what you'd be storing your school files in, but it's actually a one-way ticket to a nicotine addiction, and that's bad. Juul comes in all different kinds of flavors, but it should just be one. The flavor of death.
Don't do Juul. Stay in school. These are the tips to make you cool. We were bad, but now we're good. Moving into your neighborhood.
Hey Miguel, that's the sex offender
Oh,
shuffle.
wait, it is? I'm sorry.
Although this is a video about Juul and e-cigarettes, I'm mostly going to be talking about how Juul has impacted the lives of students. Now, have you guys ever clicked on a YouTube video and this ad pops up?
Things I'm protesting. Fetch, please. Fernando's so-called grooming salon by Fernando. Oh, and Juul. Don't test on my humans.
Fact. No one knows the long-term effects of Juuling. Do you?
Those ads come from an organization by the name of Truth, which, in their words, they take on things that impact our lives and communities and make big changes in the world. We've always been, and still are, about exposing big tobacco's lies and manipulation. End quote. Now, there's a YouTuber by the name of Muggy who did a more in-depth video about Truth's ad campaigns, which I suggest you watch after this video. I'll leave that in the description. But he brought up a good point, which I'll let him explain.
If you vape, you're 4 times more likely to start smoking cigarettes.
I've tried to find it, and I have absolutely no clue where they got this statistic. I can't find any evidence for it anywhere. But regardless, how is that going to stop anyone from vaping? If someone who vapes watches that commercial, they're not going to be like, oh shit, I better stop vaping because there's a statistically higher chance of people who vape to start smoking. Any reasonable person would watch that and conclude that, yeah, I mean, the statistic is probably somewhat true, but still, the vast majority of people who vape aren't going to pick up smoking, and as an individual with self-control, they can just decide to not smoke and just stick to vaping.
Truth doesn't understand that the same facts to get kids off of cigarettes a decade ago might not work now. How do I know? Well, I posted a picture on my Instagram and Snapchat stories, which you can go follow, link in the description. Asking if anyone who is or has Juuled if they would like to be interviewed. I received 4 responses, and for each of the interviewees, I asked them 7 questions over direct message to hide their identities. Those 7 questions were: 1, why Juul specifically compared to other vape-related products? 2, what was the motivator to try Juul? 3, who or what got you into Juul? 4, what keeps or what kept you hooked on Juul? 5, what was your favorite flavor of pod? 6, do you think you are or were addicted? And 7, what made you quit, or have you ever thought about quitting? After I asked these questions, the answers were very diverse. On question 1, the answers were it being popular, it being easier to obtain, and it being easier to hide. Question 2 varied from it being peer pressure, easier way to get nicotine, a way into popularity, or just curious to try it out. With question 3, one said it was offered to them, while others said it was their choice to try it. Question 4 ranged from getting a buzz to maintaining a reputation to already being addicted to nicotine. Question 5 held the commonality, which I'll get into later, with the results being cherry, mint, and mango. On question 6, there were a variety of answers, like them not actually being addicted, them being addicted, and them being more addicted to the lifestyle rather than the nicotine itself. Finally, for question 7, it's split into 2 different categories. For the people who did quit, they didn't have enough money to keep their supply up, they got grounded, or they just saw what it was doing to other people, so they just stopped. And as for the people who haven't quit, one might consider quitting in the future, while the other one has attempted to quit on countless occasions, but has been unsuccessful to finding products to stop their addiction. I will leave all of their own individual responses in the description if any of you would like to check out their full answers. Now, you see what I'm trying to show here is that everyone is different. Everyone has different reasons to try things or live certain ways, especially with Juul. Whether it was because of an existing addiction, popularity, mental health, peer pressure, or millions of other things I haven't mentioned, Juul seemed like a good idea to try at one point in time. That's why Truth can't deliver on these ad campaigns. If for one, they're a total joke.
Bye, Fernando.
And two, if they're bringing the wrong information forward, being super ineffective in the process. A group actually being effective in their efforts to stop Juul is the FDA, because, you know, they're the FDA. You see, a big reason Juul was working was because of their fruity flavors that cigarettes just couldn't provide. However, this made it way more appetizing to kids and teens. Now, as you can probably assume, the FDA isn't a big fan of what my bio teacher likes to call cancer boxes. The FDA has been hard at work trying to prevent teens from getting access to this product by deepening its crackdown on Juul, seizing thousands of documents from their headquarters, and planning to stop all flavored e-cig sales, resulting in Juul having to stop selling fruity flavors in all US retailers. Now, there are only 3 flavors left, being menthol and the 2 tobacco flavors, Virginia tobacco and classic tobacco. This is now after the removal of mint-flavored pods back in November. Now, why am I bringing this up? I mentioned back in question 5 that there was a commonality. And this is it. All of the pods mentioned were fruit or mint flavored. No kid is going to insist on sipping Virginia tobacco over cherry. So, the FDA is doing a good job. They've found a link between kids and their continuation of Juuling and made some real progress. However, this is the only commonality, I'm afraid, that can get a decent chunk of kids off of Juul. Like I said, everyone's different. In order to stop kids and teens from getting their hands on Juul, the FDA would have to tackle so many other problems like substance abuse, mental health, bullying, social hierarchies in schools, and basically everyone else's own individual problems before they can even see and deal with whoever's left. So the question stands, who are we going to point the finger to when it comes to underage vaping? Is it Juul? I know the FDA has been investigating both Juul labs and Juul officials in regards to misinformation about how much nicotine content is in each pod, as well as suspected marketing to kids. However, I think it's more complicated than that. In order to answer this question, we're going to have to go to the place where it all began. Silicon Valley. Because of course it did. James Monsees and Adam Bowen were 2 college students at Stanford, both studying product design, because, you know, Silicon Valley. They had met on their smoke breaks, and you can probably see where this is going. They decided to create a product called Plume, because nothing says we're a cool new hip startup out of Silicon Valley like 2 of the same letters making the same sound. Because, you know, English. In 2007, Plume started, and by 2008, it had already amassed a net worth of roughly $3 million. In 2011, electroniccigarettesreview.net, which is a website, cites the existence of pods, or plume pods as they called it. A few years down the line, they sell their company to JTL, a Japanese tobacco company, and rebrand to Pax Labs. In 2015, Pax Labs released the Juul at a New York City launch party, and at that party, Robert Jackler, a physician at Stanford, told Business Insider that, quote, Juul's launch campaign was patently youth-oriented. I don't see the resemblance. In 2017, Juul Labs becomes its own entity, and later that same year becomes the #1 e-cigarette. Meanwhile, Tyler Goldman, former Pax Labs CEO, becomes the new CEO of Juul Labs, and in the following December is replaced by Kevin Burns, the former CEO of Chobani. Cause that makes sense. Now, around March of 2018, news organizations are starting to find out about this new epidemic. Meanwhile, I've been witnessing it since 2 years prior. It's at this time where tobacco companies' stocks are not doing so great with the rise of Juul. Well, one of those companies was Altria, who in December of 2018 was so willing to get back in the game that they bought a 35% stake in the company for $12.8 billion. Just to put that into perspective, Facebook bought Instagram for $1 billion, Google bought YouTube for $1.25 billion, Microsoft bought Mojang for $2.5 billion, and Amazon bought fucking Whole Foods for $13.7 billion, which means that overpriced pizza and kombucha is worth 35% of a skinny-ass hard drive that used to taste like a Tutti Frutti jelly bean. Jesus. To add on to that, 2018 was honestly a pretty monumental year for Juul. People are giving them endorsements, they're doubling their staff, reviving the e-cig market, basically becoming a monopoly, getting banned from Israel because it gave race to public health. Psh, what are you, a mom? Look everyone, Israel's being a buzzkill. Wow. But also there were some bad things that happened that year, like all of the FDA drama that I mentioned 3 paragraphs ago in my script. To wrap up Juul's brief business history, they are now being looked into by the Democratic Party in the House, have been found to be linked to 3 seizures, are being sued by several school districts, been banned in India, their sales in China have stopped for who knows what reason, they've stopped selling their flavored pods online, leaving them only with menthol and tobacco flavors, and their CEO, Kevin Burns, ended up apologizing for the seizures and later stepped down as CEO, leaving Casey Crosswhite, a former tobacco executive of Altria, to step in his place. Fuck, I need some water. Now, why all of that background information? Well, through Juul's timeline, we can see that they sort of are a big source of the problem. From flavored pods, to swapping CEOs from different backgrounds, to being banned in other countries, Juul seemed like patient zero. However, at the end of one of my interviews, something concerned me. You see, one of the people I talked to said that they don't really see Juul all too often. They see companies like Voos and Enjoy more because they cost just $1. I couldn't believe him when he said this, but then I compared prices. Juul's device usually goes for $34.99, with 2 of their pods going for $9.99 and 4 of their pods going for $15.99. With Voos, the pods cost about the same, with 2 pods going for $8.99 to $13.49 depending on the device, or 3 for $13.49. However, what was a little questionable was that the power unit with the charger went from $14.99 to $9.99. This being said, Juul's power unit is $34.99. Bruh. That's not to mention that they're selling a power unit without a charger for just $1. With Enjoy, it's a little worse, with their pods going from $9.99 to $7.99 a piece, with the devices themselves going from $49.99 to $5.99. Now, granted, with the $5.99 device, it already comes with the vapor inside of it, so when you run out and you have to buy another one. However, they're still the same price regardless of how strong the nicotine is. This is also not to mention that both Voos and Enjoy were both established companies even before the launch of Juul. So, is Juul the problem? Yes? I don't know. You see, companies like Voos and Enjoy both proved that this epidemic could have started elsewhere. Juul just happened to be the one to popularize it. But not because of capitalism, and this is not a giant video to be like,
Now, the theme of this video was that capitalism should never ever made. Vladimir, you're doing a good job.
but now because of
Now, the theme of this video was that capitalism should never ever make
a free market and the fact that the media hasn't caught on to these other companies, they've been able to price their product lower and get away with more things. In fact, they still have all of their flavors available. Your mint, your watermelon, your chai? What the fuck? So now all the kids that were formerly on Juul are just gonna get their e-cigarettes and pods from a different place because that's where it's coming from, or what's relevant. So, how do we fix this? Short answer is, I don't know. The FDA's ban on flavored pods worked on Juul, why not just do it with other companies? Well, in fact, they just did. On January 2nd, 2020, the FDA officially announced a ban on all flavored e-cigarette products that appeal to kids, with the exception of menthol and tobacco flavors. Now, companies have less than 30 days to remove all of those flavors from store shelves and websites. Hey you. So I was editing today and I was looking through Enjoy and Voos's websites, looking for pictures of their pods and their devices that I could grab so I could put them in my video, and it's after the policy's 30-day expiration date, so both companies switched over to just menthol and tobacco flavors when they used to have fucking every flavor on the face of the planet. So the policy went through. Hooray! I just wanted to put this in here because I didn't want somebody in the comments being like, well, the policy went through already and I'm having the worst day ever because I can't get my chai fix. I want my chai! So, Jesus. I just wanted to make this just so, because current events aren't current anymore. Fuck, man. Now, of course, this policy could work, and this all would have been for nothing, and I would have just wasted a whole bunch of time on a current event video that just decided to not be current as soon as I was done with it. But, you know, for the good of humanity. However, I don't think this policy will be a 100% problem solver. In reality, I think they've created two more problems. Problem one being that some kids may be inclined to do some bad shit, like illegal importation or black market purchasing and selling, which is already happening after the ban on Juul's flavored pods. And problem two being that those flavored pods were a big reason for smokers to get off of cigarettes. But now, those same smokers might just be more inclined to go back to them. So maybe this. In order to save both parties, I'm asking the kids watching this, who do have a problem with underage usage of e-cigarettes, to just talk to somebody. Talk to your parents or guardians about this and the problems you're going through. If you don't think they're safe to bring this up to, talk to a school faculty member or someone you trust that isn't on e-cigarettes. Hopefully they can help you with your problems, because most likely, it's not just vaping related. I will also leave some websites in the description that will give you advice to help you quit if you find that useful. Have a great rest of your day. My name is Miguel Castillo, and this is how it is.
Get it? Because that's the name of the show.
Just to put that into perspective, Facebook bought YouTube. No, they didn't.